Futurama issue 11. We start out seeing a page where a woman has Fry covered in kisses and tells him to teach her the ways of love. And since it's the first page, I knew there'd be a catch. Leela calls Fry an idiot and says the delivery to the planet of double entendres is next week. Fry's on the planet of gangster films that somehow exists, when most people wouldn't be okay with being gangsters. And he was dating the Dawn's girlfriend. So they get threatened by criminals with guns immediately. And their civilization is based on parodies of gangster movies from Mad Magazine. So the main characters, after some wasted time, get pies to the face. And the criminals just walk away, because apparently they didn't care that much about the Dawn's girlfriend not really loving him. After Bender complains that he was used as a teapot once, Fry's sick and really looks awful, which isn't fun to see. Leela tells him he should take some sleeping medicine and decides to look for some medical books. Bender points out he could fit all the info in the library in a small silicone chip, and Leela explains that she just loves books. He says he agrees because they make good drink coasters since he doesn't care about them. She doesn't react because she's that accepting of her old friend and says Fry's got a rare illness that was eradicated centuries ago, the common cold. How did he get it if there was no one for him to catch it from? Wouldn't there be too many different strands of common cold to get rid of forever? Isn't that why it's still around? Somehow Fry's friends accuse him of faking being sick when it's so obvious he is by looking at him. Amy would never think he wouldn't want to go to her sorority's all-night party at the lingerie warehouse. Zoidberg somehow thinks it's bad that there's something beating in Fry. And of course, Farnsworth explains there's no known cure for the cold because the vaccine that wiped it out was destroyed long ago, even though we live in a world where even thousands of species of potatoes are all being preserved. But Futurama's planet did go through tons of apocalypses. Fry has to be quarantined, as I wonder if I've seen this exact same plot before in the show. He's given a bubble to live in with a treadmill, bed, and virtual reality helmet and toilet. At least he put all that stuff in it. It took forever for someone to ask Farnsworth what makes him think Fry hasn't already infected his friends. Of course Amy would be vulnerable, but Bender's a robot. Farnsworth clearly thinks the Robo-Ensa Mega Man game had a crappy science fiction story. Zoidberg's an alien who's eaten enough garbage to build up a tolerance to every germ. And because Leela's mutant, she's affected by the common cold in a strange way where she feels like stripping and gathering some acorns. And she starts chirping at a squirrel. Too bad for Fry, his glass is steamed up. Why does Hermes get reverted to his primal state of being a jerk bureaucrat too? Is he secretly a sewer mutant too? But Leela's the only one that looks as human as she does. Why would the cold revert Amy to her primal urges? She's not a mutant either. Out of nowhere, it turns out that Farnsworth can conveniently pull Bender's antenna to find out Amy told Fry where she was going to be later. It makes sense that Farnsworth would make that alteration to Bender for his own benefit just in case. Farnsworth helped start the lingerie rave when he was in college. Fry's a good audience surrogate because as his bubbles at the rave, he really wishes he felt better. It's funny that he said that twice. Amy never made it to the party and someone saw her at the library, which is locked at this time. So Bender being a criminal is useful for once because he knows how to help them break in through a ceiling window, even if it gets them hurt. See, if him being a criminal was constantly useful, it'd be a manic situation where it's worth it for saving the heroes' lives. I guess that is the case, but right now it's not common enough to get me to find his evilness worth it yet. But I haven't watched all of the show in a really long time. I don't see why being from the future would cause Amy to be obsessed with math for days because she's got a cold instead of getting the cold symptoms. It could have so easily had the story be easier to take seriously by not telling us, oh, Fry had the cold. And instead saying he had a magical space illness from that girl he was just making out with. Maybe his primal state just happens to be ogling women. Fry's bubble accidentally gets sent rolling and he breaks out of it and falls into the city water supply. So everyone gets infected like Amy was, but everyone's having fun. It seems harmless, if embarrassing for them later. Because Amy blew her nose, there's a giant germ blob, and she's not the only one who did. So now they're all merging into one.
This isn't one of the good stories. Leela sneezed too, but because she's a mutant, her blob is an antibody, but it's too small to do anything but scare the big blob. Farnsworth's doomsday device gets taken from him, and they're all too polite to criticize him for really wanting to use it later on, somehow. And they decide to get the help of the sewer mutants, who didn't really believe them at first. Since they were told what the effect of the common cold is, they want to party and get sick. Leela's too easily embarrassed by her parents she's lucky she knows, and Fry reveals he never got around to cleaning up the ship's console. I knew that would matter immediately, and I'm glad this is why it mattered. So Leela needs a humidifier, and Bender already has one in him. I don't know why Morbo said even robots were affected by the cold, by the way. Why would they have gone away from the original programming? So the antidote blob instantly wins and saves everyone. And as a reward for saving the city, the mayor offers the mutants he calls disgusting a so-called reward. A lifetime supply of the cold germ. I guess most of the people voting for him don't care about sewer mutants enough to find him offensive. I guess the problem people on Earth have with the mutants is that they're in an uncanny valley where they look like humans, but not enough, while aliens look completely different from humans. So people look at the mutants and just wish they looked like humans the whole time. Still, there'd be some people sympathizing with them, or at least pretending to in order to look like good people. This story focused on gross-out humor, so I didn't like it. Fry somehow got the common cold, even though it's been extinct for centuries. And somehow, because it's the future, everyone acts weird with no inhibitions because of the cold when he falls into the city water supply. Inconveniently, there doesn't seem to be any horrible criminal results of this, and instead people are just having fun. It's interesting, but the story could have easily been more enjoyable if it didn't try to be gross, and it should have just had us be told that it was a crazy magical sickness, not the cold. It could make sense that Leela could make an antidote, but it's slightly less believable that every single other sewer mutant can do that, when she's not exactly like every other mutant in mutation, and every mutant is different, so most of them wouldn't be creating antidote blobs.